Welcome back to Challenge the Call with Max and Avery. I'm your host, Max.
And I am not Avery. No, I'm kidding. I'm Avery. How are you guys?
All right. Sorry for the delayed episode. I know we technically missed a week, but don't worry. We are here now, so let's get right into it. First, to recap how the U.S. was in the FIFA World Cup. We played against the Netherlands, and sadly, we lost 3-1. Avery, did you watch that game?
I did. And, going into this game, no one really thought we were going to win. Like, I know the U.S. has, a pipeline dream of being good at every single sport. But when that's not even your best athletes out there in the United States playing, it's hard to beat some other teams or some other countries' best athletes. And Netherlands, they performed really well. And, 3-1, at least we scored a goal on them, so I'm pretty proud. And we made the tournament.
I questionably thought we might have had a little bit of a comeback moment because what was it, 2-1 when we scored that goal? I was like, oh my gosh, we could get another goal, we could tie it up. Like I know it's a long shot, but I've seen crazy shit happen before. But then Netherlands put another one in to really end that match. But That's an interesting question. You talk about our best athletes and stuff because parts of it are just a general athleticism aspect, but if we were to take some of the other guys from the NFL, if we took like a Tyreek Hill, if we took like a LeBron James, if we took some of those other guys and put them on a soccer pitch, do you think they're beating the U.S. men's soccer team?
No, I think the pure athleticism would be amazing to see, but they would have to train and they would have to dedicate their whole life to soccer, just like that team did, like the U.S. team.
With the same dedication aspect, yes. But in my head, I was just thinking like they would get demolished. Half of them don't even know the rules of soccer. They'd be horrible if they were out there.
Yeah, no, they would definitely have to put in the work and the dedication. But if we didn't have football, do you think soccer would be a lot bigger in the United States?
I think soccer would probably be a lot bigger if we didn't have football. We also do have a huge emphasis on basketball, though, too. So I think a lot of people would still want to opt to the basketball route. So I don't know if things would change a whole ton from that side of things. You'd still have baseball, basketball, wrestling, like that stuff going for you. So I'm not sure.
That would be interesting. A world without football. That would be literally awful. So
I know we would definitely hate that. But speaking of football, why don't we talk about a few games that happened? The first one I want to talk about, actually from a week ago, was the Rams versus the Raiders. As we all know, Baker Mayfield went down to Los Angeles and signed on with the Rams. And what did he have? 3 days before this Raiders game?
48 hours.
Yeah, 48 hours to go play the Raiders on a new team with a new coaching staff, new playbook, all that. He won that game. They won 17-16. What did you think of that?
Yeah, no, Baker going to LA and just like that whole atmosphere there, it's incredible. Seeing this game, and especially that the Rams were down. What was it, 16-3?
Yeah, they were down 16, I think 3, yeah. They were down a lot.
16-3 going into the fourth quarter and even well into the fourth quarter. I think it was 10 minutes left in the fourth. And just seeing Baker drive down the field, the first time really wasn't him and his late game heroics. It was more Cam Akers, which is another player that a lot of people gave up on this year. And then Baker, that second drive was just incredible. I think they did get helped out by the refs on 2 penalties there. There was a defensive taunting penalty and there was a pass interference. I think the pass interference was fine, but the defensive taunting was, it was a little sketch. But
refs can easily change the course of a game, and they could have changed that one a little bit. But at the same time, you're talking 2 days to get thrown into a new offense and still win it, like, as much as refs can do, I don't know if they can blame the refs entirely on. If you have a 16-3 lead with a quarterback that just got there 2 days ago, refs shouldn't be your key factor in that win. It's still incredible.
It was pretty incredible, and I think that was Baker's like it moment, because we've all seen it with the Browns, right? And then he was supposed to go to Carolina, and he was supposed to be the savior of the Carolina Panthers, and it was just, it never kind of turned out, and it never kind of happened. And just to see it happen in LA, and him having an actual great offensive coordinator and head coach and Sean McVay, like, I'm just really excited for Baker and that standpoint.
Now, so Baker and LA, obviously Stafford comes back, he's going to replace, like, Baker's not play. Is Baker destined to be a backup, or is he going to go somewhere and is he going to still play?
See, and that's, I think Baker would make a really great backup quarterback. I think he's got everything that, like, if he wants to be in the league long term, I think he could be a backup quarterback. And to answer your question about Matt Stafford, is he's out for the year because of a spinal injury. And next year, who knows if Stafford comes back? He has a ring. He got his ring. Why not retire?
That's fair. He's been in the league a long time. He did win his Super Bowl. This might be the way out for him.
Yeah, and then Baker comes in and he steps in the spotlight in Los Angeles. Like, that's a win-win. And so, like, I think Baker could be a Ram for a good 7, 8, 10 years of left of his contract. So that'd be amazing.
I think that would be cool. Speaking of another quarterback who's been in the league a long, long time, I want to talk about the 49ers playing the Buccaneers. Little Tom Brady versus who else but Brock Purdy. Dude, Purdy balled out in that game. I love it.
Brocktober. Oh, man. Brock Purdy, man. He outdueled the golden goat and Tom Brady, the old goat. And so, like, the cool thing with this game is that Tom looked like shit. I hate to say it.
This was a game that definitely made me feel a lot more comfortable about our last week bickering about Tom Brady needs to be done. Like, Tom Brady's washed up. Tom Brady should go. I know the game right after we said that, he actually had a decent drive to win the game for the Buccaneers. But then watching this reassured me again of, no, we were right. He needs to go.
It's his time, and it always happens. Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, you can name all these great. Time catches up to everybody. I remember a couple of years ago, it was Tom versus time. How long can Tom go? And, just seeing him right now and the standpoint he's at, I think, he should have retired after his 2020 Super Bowl win with the Buccaneers, because his whole life fell apart after.
That's my big, like, he should have been out against that. That's my big thing with Tom too. Is like, hey, you got your ring, or your other ring. He's got a bunch of them, but you have your ring in the NFC now. I think you've proven that you're the greatest of all time. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he is not the greatest of all time. I'm just saying that time was in the past. He's not what he was. But I don't want to talk about this game because of Tom Brady. I want to talk about Brock fucking Purdy. Dude, he went off. Rushing touchdown, passing touchdowns. I forget his exact completion rate, but I remember at like halftime or so, he's like 13 for 15, 100-something yards. Like, he looked like a true NFL quarterback, and he wasn't drafted till the 7th round as a backup of a backup.
Yeah, and seeing him, I'm looking up his stats right now. He threw for 185 passing yards, 2 passing TDs, and 1 rushing touchdown for 18 yards. So that's pretty incredible. And just seeing that in his first game ever, it's just like... And the cool thing about Brock is not only was he a 7th-round draft pick, he was Mr. Irrelevant. And Mr. Irrelevant means something to the NFL because there's not been really any relevant, like they were talking about it during the game, and the most relevant is the kicker for the Titans. Wasn't it Bullock? Randy Bullock?
I don't even know.
Anyways, besides the point, it's a kicker. And there's never really been a relevant Mr. Irrelevant. It's kind of an oxymoron, but I love it. And so, like, I think just seeing him play, and, you know, it's cool because he played at Iowa State. And, you know, there's a lot of stories that came out that said, you know, he's got this competitive nature, and, you know, it's just very eerily similar to the guy he faced in the beginning of his career.
Definitely. I remember, because Tom Brady, when he first entered the league, no one thought he was going to, he got taken, what, sixth round?
Sixth round.
Yeah. So, Brock Purdy, Tom Brady, very, very similar in their entrances to the NFL, and I think Purdy could do great there. I think he could be good. I know there's a lot of controversy out there of, anybody could quarterback the 49ers and have won that game. Like, they're just such a powerhouse right now of weapons, but I don't think that's entirely true. I think Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. I think they have a good guy right there. I think he could be QB number one.
So I want to play the what if game for you, if that's all right with you. Brock goes out, the 49ers win the Super Bowl this year. Brock leads them to the Super Bowl. Is he your number one quarterback starting the year next year?
Yes, 100%. Even if they don't go out win the Super Bowl, we know they don't like Garoppolo. We know they want out there. Obviously, Trey Lance.
They spent a first-round pick on Trey Lance.
It doesn't matter that, like, what, hurt, wasn't performing well, whatever his deal was, like, I don't think anyone believes in Trey Lance whatsoever anymore. So, like, I don't care what you wasted on him. Are you really going to ruin your following season just because you spent money on this guy? Or are you going to let Brock Purdy take the reins and potentially have a long-term quarterback?
And, you know, that's a fair argument. And I think, 95% chance they go back to actual, like, Jimmy G. And then there's like a 3% chance it's Brock Purdy, and maybe a 2% chance it's Trey Lance. I agree with the Trey Lance. He got hurt, and that's what. But even the games that he played in before he got hurt, he didn't look like an NFL starting quarterback. We'll just say it as that. And it's also, you gotta, if we say this for Justin Fields, he still hasn't played a full 16 game stretch. So, we can't say that about Trey Lance and then say another thing about Justin Fields. But I really enjoy seeing Brock out there, and I really hope he has a great career, and I want to see him become the next Tom Brady.
For sure. I definitely enjoy seeing Brock Purdy out there. If he does go back to the bench, so be it, because I'm fairly confident that we will see him making another appearance later on in his career. He's definitely not going anywhere. I think one day, maybe not next season, maybe not in a couple years, I think one day he's easily going to be a QB1 for somebody somewhere.
I agree. I agree. And, maybe he doesn't go the Tom Brady path, but maybe he goes the Kirk Cousins path. Because Kirk Cousins was drafted the same year as RG3, and Kirk Cousins was drafted in the 5th round. And he sat behind RG3 for 3 years. And then, they moved on from RG3 because he got hurt and, everything else, kind of similar to the Trey Lance story. And Kirk balled out for Washington, and that's what landed him a great contract in Minnesota. And, he hasn't been the best quarterback in Minnesota, but he's been steady, and he's been consistent. So maybe that's where maybe instead of a Tom Brady career, maybe he has a Kirk Cousins type career.
Maybe. But getting into our main segment now, let's talk about our Bears a little bit with Bear Central. So the last game we have to cover is the rivalry game rematch against the Packers. Did not go fully as expected, or maybe went as a lot of people expected, but the Bears lost 28-19. Saddest part about that, we led most of that game. We led almost that entire game.
We also led 16-3. because Santos missed the extra point. We led 16-3 in that game, going into the third and fourth quarter. So it's kind of eerily similar.
It all comes back to our kicker woes. Like, we're starting to have kicker issues again, and it's pissing me off.
I'm kind of done with Santos. I love him because he got us out of a dark hole of what was Cody Parkey, and he was Mr. Consistent for 2 years after that. And so, like, I'll always be grateful, but the NFL is a tough league, man. It's a tough business. It's a tough league, and if you're not, it's all, what can you do for me right now? It's not what can you do for me.
I hold no sentiment, especially toward a kicker. Like, this, it's the same ideology as Tom Brady not leaving the league and staying in kind of thing. Like, everyone wants Tom Brady regardless of being. Like, I hold zero sentimental value for a kicker. Like, yeah, I love him. I love him when he was Mr. Consistent, but I'm sorry. He's lost us 2 games now. Like, when your kicker is the reason you're losing games, like, I don't give a fuck about you anymore. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I agree. I just, a little part of me, I do get sentimental about these players. And, like, and it just screams out what type of football fan, if you think analytics or you think with your heart during football. And I think for me, I do like Santos, but because like I look at other kickers that have had struggles. The Bears got rid of Robbie Gould because he had a similar career or a similar season like this that Santos is having, and the Bears are like, oh, he's washed up. So I've went through this before with the consistent and great kicker, and then he goes on to have 8, 9, 10 more years in the league, being one of the best kickers in the league. So it goes back to, don't give up on your player that quickly. And, it's 1 year. It's 1 year. Give them a second year. Give them next year. And if it continues, bring in kicking competition throughout the year. Because kickers, they're really easy to replace throughout the year.
Kickers are really easy to replace throughout the year. And, yeah, he can have his chances, but I just, after all that Parkey bullshit, like, yeah, give him a chance. That's what they gave Parkey. Parkey had numerous chances, missing multiple field goals every game, and lost the playoffs for us. So if I don't trust a kicker, like, you're getting gone. Yeah, obviously some kickers go through their struggles a little bit. It's only been a couple games in a relatively bad season right now anyway, but I don't want us to sit and hold on to a kicker thinking, hey, remember Robbie Gould, when you also have Cody Parkey right there, who, with that same ideology, you're just fucking yourself.
I agree. I mean, but at the same time, I'm not saying hold on. I'm saying get through the rest of this year, because this year's a wash anyways with Santos.
This year's a wash anyways.
Next year, bring in a couple of kickers, training camp. If any of them outperform Santos, then it's time to move on. But if they don't, and Santos starts the year and he's our kicker, let him have a couple of games. And if he's consistent, that's fine. Because, like, I think kickers, they get too much into their head, man. It's all mental. It's all mental.
Kickers do have a big mental game. Not that, like, other players don't, but for kickers, it's sometimes, situationally, they get more pressure than a quarterback does in a game.
Yes, yeah, and I agree. So that's all I'm saying is give Santos the rest of this year. Give him the training camp. Give him, maybe if he wins the battle, give him 2-3 games next year. And if he fixes it,
That's not what you originally said. You originally said give him another year.
Yeah, well, give him into next year. Give him into next year. That's what I'll say. But, other than Santos, Justin Fields had a great game until the fourth quarter.
Still looks great. What is he, four games with a 50-plus yard rushing touchdown right now? Yeah. I'm loving that. I hope we see that in the rest of the games throughout the season. I want him to... What do you think the record is for that kind of thing? I forget if they've mentioned it yet, but...
I think he's broken the record now.
For Like that exact record of like
that exact record. So that's pretty awesome to see.
That is awesome to see. I love it. I think next year we have a real good fighting chance. This year's a little bit of a wash. This year's, it is what it is. It was heartbreaking losing to the Packers, especially after I thought we really, really were going to put up a good fight, which we did put up a good fight. But at the same time, we're still missing a couple from our secondary, still a little bit weak, and I think we have huge improvements to make next year.
I agree. Justin Fields' stats for this game, he was 20 for 25, 254 yards passing, 0 touchdowns in the air, and 2 picks. And he had 1 rushing touchdown, and he had 72 yards rushing on 9 attempts. So that's a pretty dang good day.
It's not too bad of a day.
You subtract the picks.
I'd like to see a little more passing touchdowns, but going back to the injuries, obviously Darnell Mooney wasn't playing either, so that hurts things.
For sure. And, like, talking about Justin Fields and, like, talking about his progression is I love to see that, it keeps coming into fruition. Like, everything is coming. It's just coming slowly. And that's fine because the season's washed. We're eliminated from the playoffs. We are done.
That's a good point, too, talking about his progression. Was this the game? I forget. I know we talked about it. It happened so long ago, though. Was this the game that he had looked like he was about to take off, but then pulled up and threw it?
Yep. And he dumped it off to Cole Kmet for a first down.
So it's almost like I was just saying, I wish I saw some more passing touchdown, but like you're saying, yeah, that's a huge progression point for him because you'll see that a lot with younger quarterbacks. Like when they take off, they take off. When they're going to get a first down, like they're running it, they're going, they leave. But I thought when I saw that, I was like, wow, the amount that Justin Fields has like learned and is now utilizing. That's a professional move. Like, that is an experienced veteran move. That's not something these young first-year guys do. So I absolutely loved seeing that. Actually utilizing some receivers, tight end included, and pulling up and not just taking off and trying to get it yourself.
For sure. No, yeah. And that was really incredible, that play specifically. And then I love how he can just put on the burners still because he had that nice 50-yard run for a touchdown against Green Bay that put us up 16-3. I really thought we were going to win this game.
I thought we were too. I had really high hopes.
The bad thing with it and what kind of turned it around, well, one, it's fucking Aaron Rodgers in Chicago, and he's a cocky son of a bitch. I hate to say it, but I hate this guy because he says, I got to do it. Chicago's like a second home to me. And he saluted the Chicago Bears fans at Soldier Field, which kind of pissed me off. But going back to Justin Fields, his 2 picks, one, St. Brown fucked up. St. Brown didn't break out of his route. It wasn't even on Justin Fields. And then that's
always the hardest. That's always the hardest for a quarterback. Like when you see the stat line, sometimes you look at interceptions and you think, oh, like 2 picks, 3 picks, etc. But you don't know how those pick happens. Balls get batted up at the line. Receivers spike it to the air for just anybody to go up and grab. Like, stuff happens all the time that it's not always a quarterback error.
Yeah, and then the second one, it was a Hail Mary at the end of the game.
Yeah, and then situationally, things like
situational.
that. Like, okay, he threw a pick. It was the last play, and he threw it fucking 60 yards to anybody down there. Of course, like someone else happened to catch it.
So, I hate when people are like, oh, he threw 2 picks, he had a bad game. No, I saw a lot that I loved out of him.
I thought he had a good game. Arguably, like we said, we were up 16-3. If Aaron Rodgers wasn't who he was, and if we had our actual starting safety in corner, I believe we're missing like a safety and a corner, right?
Eddie.
Or we're missing 3, aren't we? We're still missing Gordon, Brisker, and Eddie.
Yeah, our 3 best.
Yeah, so we're missing our 3 absolute best defensive backs against a team like the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, like, no wonder we give up a last minute, 25 points.
Yeah.
Of course we give up a last minute 25 points. We're missing our secondary. We're literally missing our secondary.
And it hurts. It really does. Don't get me wrong. This game hurt because, like, this played well for our draft stock future, but at the same time, I don't care. Like, against this, like, I've talked about that I care about the draft on previous episodes, but this game hurt because this game I wanted to win. I don't care if we lose the rest of the games all season. I wanted to beat the Green Bay Packers.
I definitely did too. I wanted to end that streak. And you guys know how I feel in general. I think in general, if you have an opportunity to win a game, you go out and you attempt to win a game, regardless of draft stock. But this one meant something a little extra. So,
we do have an opportunity to win a game this week.
Avery's referring to the upcoming game against the 12-1 Eagles right now. The Bears are underdogs by 9 points. The over/under is 48.5. I take the Eagles by 9. Like, I take the Eagles to cover. The Bears. The Eagles are a really good fucking team right now. I don't even know if we cover this one. What do you think?
We take Chicago. I'm Chicago money line. The Bears are winning this game in Philadelphia. Philly is going to be 12-2. The Bears are going to be 4-10, and Justin Fields is going to throw for 275 yards, 3 TDs.
There's questionably one argument here. Do the Eagles have the number 1 seed on lock right now?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Dallas could still steal it.
Because if they did, then I would arguably say, oh, we'll cover. Because, if they have the number 1 seed clenched, then they don't need to necessarily put their best guys out there. But
hear my reasoning. Wait. Hear my reasoning.
Okay.
The Bears played their best football coming off an extended break against the Patriots.
They just had their bye week, which is why we haven't missed the Bears game. So,
and they just had their bye week, and I think Matt Eberflus is a great coach off the bye, and I also think Philly has played down to their competition all year. Because that Houston game, when Houston almost beat Philly, and then when the Commanders beat Philly a couple weeks back, I think Chicago shocks the world. I don't think, I think Chicago shocks the world. I think Justin Fields has his best game as a pro. I think Khalil Herbert is returning this week, by the way. Khalil Herbert will get on the field. David Montgomery, two-headed monster, and our defense will still give up 30 points to Jalen Hurts. But I think we win this game 33-30 in overtime by 3 points.
Bold prediction. Are we still going to miss, do we know, are we still missing Mooney, Gordon, Brisker, and Eddie?
Yep.
Yeah, Eagles are covering. The Eagles are too good. I know they played in a competition. I remember watching them, or the Commanders beat them. I remember watching them in all of their close games, really, kind of like, oh, wow. But at the same time, like, we have a very unhealthy secondary. We have a bunch of rookies in the secondary. We get Khalil Herbert back, great. We add another running back to our already okay run game. We need our starting receiver back. We need some passing game.
N'Keal Harry sets up.
The way the Eagles pass the ball too, like the Eagles they have a decent run game, don't get me wrong, but they can throw the ball anywhere they want to. And against our rookie secondary, that's not going to go well.
I think we win. I do. I genuinely think we beat the Eagles. This is a game that we have no business being in. And this is a game that the Eagles have no business losing. And I think we pull up the upset.
All right.
And I got a feeling. I just got this weird feeling that
I'll be satisfied if we do. Like, don't get me wrong. I'll definitely be a happy man if we pull this off. But I can already hear everyone's just going to call it what it is, a fluke.
I don't care if they call it a fluke because we're going to look back at this game when we are 10-4 fighting for first place in the division next year. And we're going to be like, it all started with, we saw flashes last year. We saw flashes in the Patriots game, the Eagles game last year. Yeah. We saw flashes. And so, like, when everybody's thinking, oh, my God, where did Chicago come from? Similar to where the hell did Philadelphia come from?
It's one of those where people are going to look at the record and be like, wait, you're talking the 3-10 Bears right now? Like, what? You're like, no, where were the Bears? They went 3-10 last year. Yeah, we went 3-10, but did you watch any of those games? Because a handful of them when we lost by 1 point or single digits, and like another handful of them, like we scored 30 points. Like they're there, they just didn't have all the pieces together yet. So I get what you're saying.
I got a feeling. I really do. And going on to what you said, we have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have lost 7 games by 7 points or less this year.
So 1 score. We've lost 7 games by less than 1 score.
1 score. You flip that record, we are 10-3. We are 10-3.
There you go. That's why I have such high hopes for next year. That's why I think next year truly it becomes our year.
And I really think Philly is going to get taken down by Chicago and Justin Fields this year.
Well, you heard it here first, everybody. Avery's riding Chicago the whole way against the Eagles.
It's a bold prediction. I'm going to go put $200 on the Bears this week.
You do it. You do just that. Have a good time. But moving out of the NFL a little bit and getting to talk into our college football, let's talk about what happened with the college football playoffs coming up a little bit. So first things first, number 4 USC went down to Utah and played number 11 Utah. They lost 47-24. Mad disappointing, if you ask me. I mean, exciting for Utah, but I'm just disappointed because what it did is it allowed Ohio State to get back to number 4 and are now in the college football playoffs.
You know what? I'm excited for you. I'm excited for Ohio State to be in the playoffs. Just being a Big Ten fan, supporting your conference. We have 2 teams in the playoffs in our conference now. We have Michigan and Ohio State. First time that's ever happened for the college football playoffs. So, like, I am actually happy. You know, if you think of, like, kind of the bright side.
Last year, Ohio State and Michigan were in it.
Yeah, okay, so this is the second year that there's been 2 teams in the college football playoffs. And so, like, I like that because, I mean, support your conference, I guess, if your team's out. Your thoughts?
And I get that, but, like, also, we had the opportunity. Ohio State's in college football playoffs all the fucking time. And it's like we said, switch things up. I hate samey. Like, yeah, support the conference, but also, like, Ohio State, year in and year out, like, we're represented. We got a team in. We got Michigan, who's arguably going to give Georgia a run for their money. But we had the opportunity to have 4 different conferences in the 4-team college football playoffs. And I was all about that. I was ready to it just be a Big Ten, SEC, Pac-12, Big 12 showdown. And Utah, I mean, I love Utah. I like Utah winning. I think I really do enjoy Utah, but at the same time, I was like, USC, come on, guys.
Well, and, you know, Caleb Williams got hurt.
Insult to injury.
And Caleb Williams, he got hurt, and he didn't look great in the second half because a pulled hamstring? I think it was some flimsy injury, but they blamed it all on that. And Caleb Williams marked F Utah on his finger with fingernail polish, and then he couldn't back it up. And USC is such a pansy team.
To add insult to injury to this, just to get it out of the way, Heisman winner Caleb Williams, Mr. F Utah himself, who went out and got F'd by Utah himself. So, you agree?
I'm gonna go on a little rant here. Caleb Williams did not deserve the Heisman. One, he got blown out in your conference championship game. That's fine. Like, okay, it's okay to lose in your conference championship game, but he did not give everything he has on that field during that game, or USC would have been in the playoffs. But on the other side, a Heisman finalist, Max Duggan, gave everything he had and more in that final game. The man was gassed. The man couldn't walk. He scored a touchdown. He was bleeding. He had 30 scratches on his body. Max Duggan was Heisman.
He truly does give it his all. He was runner-up in that contest. He did get the runner-up spot, but he truly does go and give it his absolute all. I know they were saying in a piece they did about him and stuff, I think leading up to the Heisman stuff, they were talking about how his coach doesn't think that he is a narcissistic quarterback. His coach was saying the quarterback position is a bit of a spot of narcissism. You have to have a little bit of conceitedness to be that position. You got to want to win. And Max Duggan doesn't play the role for himself. He just wants the team to win. He just wants them to succeed. He doesn't care if he's QB number 1. He doesn't care what he's doing, how he's doing. He doesn't pad his stats. Nothing. None of that matters to him. He purely just wants his teammates to be successful.
Yeah, and that's a humble quarterback there. That's someone that you would follow out on the field every single day as a leader. Like, I really enjoy watching Max Duggan, and I really do think he should not have been a runner-up. He should have won the Heisman. Caleb Williams, yeah, he's got all the talent in the world, but sometimes hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And that's a quote that I've heard all my life. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. We just watched hard work beating talent, because Max Duggan is not even in the same category as the athleticism that Caleb Williams has. But he puts it on show every freaking Saturday. Max Duggan is a great quarterback.
I think Max Duggan should have 100% won it. I don't love that Caleb Williams won it. That being said, the only game I ever watched USC play was against Utah. So, I guess I don't know super well, but I don't know. I don't agree with it personally. I don't think the attitude is there. I give it what you will with what the Heisman is. Is it pure athleticism? Is it who has the best stats? Is it a factor of character? Either way, I don't know. He deserves it. I don't think the character's there. Continue.
I want to talk about one more finalist that should not have been a finalist. Stetson Bennett from Georgia. His stats: 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 5 rushing touchdowns on the year. He had a total of 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He wasn't even the best player on Georgia's football team.
No.
I don't care. Like, the Heisman, the definition of the Heisman right here is... The definition of the Heisman is usually known as the Heisman Trophy is awarded annually to the most outstanding player in college football. Winner epitomize great ability combined with diligence, preservation, and hard work. When you read that definition, that is Max Duggan right there.
That's
right?
Max Duggan to a T. That just describes everything Max Duggan is about.
To a T. But Stetson Bennett? No. If anything, they should have put Will Anderson from Alabama, even though he's another Bama player up for the Heisman. He deserved it. 29 sacks in 1 year is incredible.
And it's always got to be the quarterback. It's always quarterbacks, and it's a little frustrating. There's some other really great players out there, like Blake Corum from Michigan, who definitely deserved a shot and got somewhat of a shot, even though he wasn't a finalist. He was in consideration for being a finalist, but still, like I want to see a non-quarterback win it, not even just for a year, but I want to go on a little bit of a stretch where it's like, hey, quarterbacks, fuck out of here. Like, let's get some other positions in the rotation.
For sure, and I agree with that. But yeah, so that's the Heisman. Also, we didn't really mention, but TCU did lose 31-28 in the Big 12. But the great part is we have the college football playoffs on lock. TCU didn't move down from their number 3 ranking. Thank goodness.
Which is really surprising. I know when I first saw, I was terrified. I'm like, oh shit, TCU. They're out of the playoffs. I was so excited for them to be in the playoffs. And when I saw they were still number 3, I was like, how the hell is that possible? But when you look at the records, there's only 3 teams with 1 loss.
Yep.
Or less than one or less losses. And so arguably you got to think, hey, doesn't matter if that 1 loss just happened that game in the Big 12 championship, like they only have 1 loss, and only 2 other teams can say the same. So,
and I think it all came down to how they played against Texas, the Texas Longhorns, because TCU beat Texas 24-10, and Alabama, the 5 seed that could have snuck in, beat Texas 20-19. Because they usually look for that common opponent that each team has played and went that way.
Yeah, but even then...
disregard, 17-10 TCU.
But, yeah, and of course, yeah, they're going to look at those common opponents and stuff. But at the same time, Alabama also has 2 losses.
2 losses, correct.
So like I said, there's 4 teams. There's only 4 teams that have 1 or less losses, and those 4 teams are in the college football playoffs. A 2-loss team, I think you said it yourself. We were making jokes about Iowa getting in somehow, etc. But a 2-loss team, I think Iowa was a 3-loss team at the way, but like a 2-loss team, it's gonna be really fucking hard to get in the playoffs with 2 losses.
The only team that I could have seen did it was LSU. And if that's would have been if they would have beat Georgia and they would have
knocked Georgia off,
yeah, I could have seen that. So
they have 4 losses though.
They lost to Texas A&M at the last game of the year. Yeah, but yeah, no. Besides that, like the 4 teams. I don't know if you want to talk about that now or like a little brief summary.
Well, the 4 teams that are in, we got Georgia, Ohio State, TCU, as we mentioned, and new number 4, Ohio State. No. Michigan. Michigan's number 2, Ohio State's number 4.
Yep. Michigan will be playing TCU, and Georgia will be playing Ohio State. And we'll have more for that later because we'll have more episodes. But yeah, I'm really excited for this.
Moving on then, let's get into our own personal team that we don't have much to talk about, but let's talk Hawks.
Well, Max, we actually have more to talk about than you think. Today we got a new transfer in. Breaking news, guys. I've been waiting all episode to say it. We have a new tight end coming to Iowa City, and Eric All from Michigan. Their starting tight end. He is Caden McNamara. And so he's coming to join Tight End University. Eric All, he was a pretty great tight end. Let me pull his stats up for Michigan. So I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah, I think that really helps too, even with having Cade coming in as quarterback. I think having a receiver, I know it's a tight end, but I'm saying a receiving body that he's familiar with, that he's worked with and played with already, I think that's going to be huge just for the coming in and having a little bit of instant chemistry with the team and succeeding.
For sure. So one thing with him is this year he didn't play much. He got hurt at the beginning of the year, and he didn't play much. But last year, for a tight end in 13 games, he started 10 of those 13 games. He had 48 receptions for 437 yards and 5 TDs. And that's pretty solid. I think that's a great stat line for a tight end. So,
and you also have to look at how the offense utilizes tight ends too, because at a school like Iowa, they run everything through the tight end. So those numbers are going to go way up for him personally just by being at tight end U compared to, I don't know if Michigan, utilizes their tight end that frequently the same way,
Right. Yeah, no, so he was a 4-star coming out of high school back in 2019. So committed to Michigan. He's been there for a good 4 years. He will be a redshirt senior. So they might give him a medical redshirt this year. We'll see. So if that's the case, we'll have him for 2 more years. And him and Luke Lachey will be beautiful together.
I like it. The two powerhouse tight ends, the 12 personnel we could run, beautiful, golden.
But yeah, so we do have a little bit more to talk about. I really like this. We haven't gotten much in the transfer portal. We've actually lost a lot. I don't know if you've seen Trey Roberts has officially entered the transfer portal, our cornerback.
The transfer portal is... I've been hearing a lot about it as I've been out recruiting. Of course, I'm Division III, but a lot of the high school coaches work with some other Division I schools and stuff, and I know they've been talking about it a lot. But transfer portal's messing things up a little bit with just the recruiting process in general. Big issue, kids aren't getting recruited right now. There's a good handful of high schoolers out there that would otherwise have been prospects for different Division I schools getting recruited, but they're not, because instead of schools going and doing recruiting, everyone's just pulling other kids from transfer. There's too many kids to go around right now, especially with all the COVID red shirts and everything that happened. There's just too many kids with open access to transfer that teams are just filling their roster of transfers. They're not going out and getting new guys.
It's kind of messed up for that high school kid that is that 1 star that, he could walk on at a smaller program. And
even a 3-star, even like a 3 or 4-star kid who could easily have a big shot at going somewhere, like some 3-star that say he wanted to come to Iowa, which granted, Cade's a senior anyway, so we could utilize a guy coming in, but we filled our tight end and our quarterback through transfer portal. So We're not going to recruit a 3-4-star tight end because we just used the portal, as a lot of other teams are. So not even just 1 star. It's hurting just recruiting in general.
Yeah, and I think you're going to start seeing effects with better talented players coming to D2, D3, JUCO colleges because they just want to play football and they want a shot.
Yeah, the route that a lot of kids are going to have to start to kind of try to go through is they're going to have to kind of try to do that FCS or D2 potentially route and transfer into a bigger school after proving themselves in the college world a little bit.
Yep, and that's just another thing you got to think about too. Those D2 players that are getting recruited, they're going to trickle down to D3. Yeah. And then from D3, it's the kid that just wasn't great at football and just want to play college football. They're not going to get that shot.
Yeah. Which it should start to fix a little bit as we do start getting all the COVID kids out of there. Yeah, that's the biggest thing that messed it up is everyone got an extra year or 2 to play. So you have these entire rosters with just red-shirted kids that are there for an extra year. I think after another year or 2, that will start to move out, and we will see a little bit more of a pickup in recruiting. But just the past year or 2, from what I've heard from some of the high school coaches and stuff, it's been rough.
Yeah, no, I was trying to find this story. Lindsey Scott Jr. Lindsey Scott Jr. has played 7 years of college football. That is insane. That's the most that anybody's played of college football since. And it's because he's gotten 2 medical red shirts, and he got his COVID year, which that's 3, plus his 4 years eligibility. That's insane.
Yeah.
That is insane.
It's almost like what was his name? Jordan Bohannon for Iowa
Jordan.
basketball.
Yeah.
Like he played forever.
I'm pretty sure he was at 7 years also.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had about the same. But to get back on track here a little bit, speaking Iowa football, we did get a bowl. So we're playing in the Music City Bowl against 7-5 Kentucky.
They beat us
Played last year in the what was last year, the Verbo Citrus Bowl, right?
Yep.
That we played them in.
Citrus Bowl. Kentucky had an off year too. So we both had off years. We both sucked. I'm just going to call it how it is. Petrus will be out of the game, so we'll get to see Levis or Connor May. And I don't know much about Connor May. So do you know anything about Connor May?
I know nothing. I'm not overly excited for this game, just with the number of potential draftees that are going to be leaving us that are going to opt out of this game. Like we've mentioned before, I think 8 of our 11 defensive starters are all seniors, and even if just 4 of those seniors opt out into not playing, I don't think it looks good for us.
Do you think Jack Campbell opts out?
I would.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's hard to say because you have guys who obviously are going to do it, like Tyler Goodson last year, even though he only, was a non-draft guy, just kind of walked on with the pack, undrafted, yeah. But then you also have guys like Tyler Linderbaum going first round, expected to go first round, and he's like, nah, I want to play it. Like, that's my school, that's my team, I'm in. So I think we'll get a little bit of split. We'll get some guys who are like, I kind of want to save myself, and then we'll have some other guys who are like, fuck it, I don't care, I'm playing. It's my last college game. Let me go up, enjoy it. But Either way, even just a couple, like I said, even just a couple of those guys deciding that, hey, I'm just going to sit this one out. I'm not looking and they know too. They obviously know Petrus is out, and even especially with that, like if I'm Laporta, I'm thinking about it. Half the defensive guys have got to be thinking our offense has kind of been killing us all year. Petrus is gone now. Like, I'm not trying to go out and play 4 quarters. Just, I don't know. I'm not entirely looking forward to this game. Looking forward to watching one more Iowa game, but just the circumstances, I'm not overly amped for it.
For sure. I stand corrected. It's Carson May, not Connor May, but Carson May. And honestly, I don't know. I'm excited. On the same standpoint, Kentucky, Will Levis is a projected first-round pick. So Will Levis, their quarterback, will be out. And I know Kentucky has a lot of players that have already entered the transfer portal or they're going into the draft, so they've already said they would not play. It would be nice to win 8 games this year, and so, I want us to win, and I think we got a chance. This is the first game that we haven't had a New Year's Six Bowl in a couple of years, too, and so it's just a terrible game all around, or a terrible Iowa football season all the way around. So
hopefully next season will go ever so slightly better. I will hope so, but this game is going to be happening New Year's Eve at 11 a.m., just for anyone who's interested in tuning in and seeing a couple of what sounds like bad teams missing a lot of guys going against each other who's going to come out on top of that.
Yep.
But getting into some Iowa sports that, well, they're having a better season than football, but I don't know. They also just suffered a pretty depressing loss. But let's get into basketball a little bit. So Iowa basketball, obviously we know they lost to TCU, so they were a one-loss team. They played Duke, who was actually a two-loss team, but they were ranked number 15 at the time. Sadly, we did lose to them. We lost 74-62, which is fairly to be expected. You know, it's the 15th ranked team. Like, we were unranked technically after our loss to TCU, even though TCU is now ranked. I'll get into that a little later. But one thing that makes me super, super happy is after that, we played number 20 Iowa State, who also was a one-loss team. They were 7-1 at the time. We were 6-2. We beat them 75. My bad, 75-56. God, that was incredible. We destroyed that. Even the score, in my mind, doesn't reflect how bad of a beating this actually was. Because watching the game, we were ahead by like 30 or 40 points at one point. Like, we absolutely crushed them. Did you watch this game at all?
No, I didn't catch the Iowa State game. I caught the Wisconsin game, but we'll get into that. But, I watched the highlights, though, and it looked like a ass beating. That's for sure. It looked really good.
Awesome. And one of my favorite parts about it, too, Chris Murray wasn't even playing in that game. Chris Murray was out. He was on the bench. We did that without either of the Murray brothers, like, in the contest. Loved it. Also, shout out to the women's basketball team. Their matchup against Iowa State was actually on the night before, and I caught that one too. They won 78-75. So both our men's and women's basketball team beat Iowa State in the Cyhawk game, and I love to see it. I thought it was awesome. Hawkeye State.
At least for basketball.
At least for basketball. Normally in football too.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to look at the overall records this year? Iowa State, what? They won like 2 games?
Yeah, Iowa State looked pretty bad this year.
Yeah. And I know we were one of those games, but that was also in a very, very early pre-conference play game when we obviously weren't doing our best. So even football-wise, like, it was a little bit of a fluke, if you ask me. But anyway, lastly, to open conference play, Iowa did take on Wisconsin. Both teams were 7-2, so this game had huge implications on record. We went into overtime with a last-minute three-pointer by Patrick McCaffrey, which was awesome, but we were this close to going into double overtime with another awesome three-pointer by Patrick McCaffrey that rattled in and out of the basket, but sadly we lost 78-75. Big asterisk there. Chris Murray was still out, along with Aaron Eulis. So
Yeah.
with those two in, we win this game. There's no doubt in my mind. It already was so close. We have even just one of those guys back. I don't even care which one. We have one of those guys back. We win this game.
I agree. This game was awesome to watch. It was back and forth and at the end, and it was like, oh my God. But it's heartbreaking to lose these type of games. It's always heartbreaking to see, okay, football, basketball, it doesn't matter. When it's the close game and it's a rival, like Wisconsin's a rival to us, especially in basketball, it just like, it hurts even more. And you could tell on Fran McCaffrey's face, and he got teed up during this game.
Oh my God, he was pissed.
Oh man.
His assistant coaches were literally like huddling him, shoving him back to the bench because he was about to fight a ref. I swear to God, he was about to go out there and knock a ref.
Yeah, he was upset. But this was a heartbreaking game, man, and that rattle in and out, it just
This is definitely not the way I wanted to open conference play. It breaks my heart, mostly because I still full-heartedly believe we are a top 25 team. Wisconsin is ranked number 22 now. So Iowa is 7-3, and our 3 losses are against number 15, or even higher now, I think. Number 13, number, I think, like 18, TCU, and number 22, Wisconsin. I think we are a top 25 team, especially when you consider in the Wisconsin game, if we have our 2 injured guys in there, or even just one of our injured, like we're winning that game. We're a top 25 team. I know we'll be there by the end of the season. I'm not too worried. I wished it would have started off sooner.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I think we will be in the top 25 at the end of the game.
Season.
Yeah, sorry. Heard a noise. Like I said, I'm not in a real studio. I'm just in a bedroom in my house. So, but no, I think we'll be there. I think we'll be 24, 23 at the end of the year. And do you think we're high?
I hope we're higher than that. Obviously, I'll accept being like a 23, 24, 25 even, whatever. But I want to crack top 20. And I think it's possible. I think similar to how football went, I think this is kind of how Iowa does, just in general a lot of the times. They start off a little slowish. They take the season to kind of build themselves. Being such a, what do you want to call it, progression and like training school, I can't think of the right word, development. Being such a developing school, like they take guys and they develop them. And same with the guys that they already have. They use the season to just develop and get better. So considering they've been ranked already at this early in the season, they've had a lot of success early on. I think as the season goes and they develop more and more and more, I easily think they can crack at least a top 20 by the end of it. Hopefully we can get to the Elite 8 in the tournament. I think Elite 8 would be pretty successful. I'd like to see that, but obviously we'll have to see how that goes.
Even I'm okay with Sweet 16. Just one more step than we did last year. For
sure. And I wouldn't hate Sweet 16. I just think last year, I don't know what happened last year. It's like that I was saying. We develop throughout the season and get better. We lost to Purdue and Illinois a couple times. We lost to Purdue twice, Illinois once, and then come out and win the Big Ten tournament. So when we won the Big Ten tournament, I was ecstatic. I was ready for us to just make a run in March Madness. I was ready to go. And then to lose it that early on was a little heartbreaking. But definitely this year, I guess I'm just hoping for better. But upcoming, we have a game against the 5-5 Southeast Missouri State. So
this is a win.
Yeah, that should be a win. I don't know why I'm even saying hopefully. This 100% should be a win. Whether
8-3.
Yeah, whether Ulyss and Murray are back or not, this should be an easy win for us. This should be a nice little kind of like, hey, don't forget who you are. Go out, win the game, get some confidence back, and let's keep rolling.
Yeah.
But that being said, you want to get into how your Omaha Mavericks are doing?
So, Omaha Mavericks are not going to be in the top 25 at the end of the year. We had a couple of good wins, and then we went into North Texas, and we took a big L. We lost 75-45. We had no offensive production this game, and we couldn't stop North Texas. And then we played Drake, and I thought we played them fairly well for Drake being undefeated going into this game. We lost 78-65, but there was moments where we were it was 62-51 at one point, so 11-point game. We never had the lead in this game at all, though. Drake definitely held the momentum, and they definitely held everything. So then we played Montana State, and we lost again, 82-54, dropping us down to 3-7. We suck. We're really bad. And then we played Midland, and we pulled a win out of there. So we're sitting at a 4-7 record, or 4-8 record right now. We're 104. We won 104-72, and so I'm just glad we finally got a win under our belt. Midland, it looked really bad, and they're not a great team.
I don't even know. Who the hell is Midland?
You know what? I think they just played a D3 school to feel better about it. I don't know. Midland University is a private school, and Fremont, Nebraska.
Oh?
Oh, okay. So I think that might be who he played. It could be a different Midland University.
No, I think that sounds about right, Midland University. But that's interesting. Yeah. Hey, you broke 100 points in that game, though. So that's exciting, regardless, right?
But we also gave up 72 to a private D3 school. Yeah, that's And then now we play 8-2 Denver, which they're leading our Summit League conference right now. So that's great. And then we play 8-3 Iowa State after that, and I know we won't have the same luck Iowa did against Iowa State, but I'm just hanging on for the ride. I should become a Creighton fan.
You got a couple tough games coming up for sure. It's going to be a little interesting. I got to say, I'm sorry. I can support you against Iowa State a little bit maybe, but against Denver, just being in Colorado for a couple years, my girlfriend still lives in Denver and everything. I'm trying to get back out to Denver at some point. Something about just Denver University being right there in town. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, that's, I'm by that school. I support that school. So sorry to say, but I'm probably going to be cheering for them a little bit in this matchup.
That's all right. I should be cheering for them too. They have an 8-2 record.
All right. Well, that covers everything that we have today, so we'll wrap it up here. A little bit of a longer episode-ish. They were a little over an hour there, but we missed our typical Friday thing, so we definitely had a lot to cover. We're still going to try to post out sometime this Friday or this weekend. We're going to give you guys a little playoff talk. We'll get into college football playoffs, kind of do some discussion of what's happening there. And we'll also discuss the NFL playoffs kind of coming up and what the seeding's going to look like and who we think is going to be where with that. So, Avery, any last words?
I have nothing. I just want to say 2 words. Bear down.